Hey up guys! So today's movie I'm going to be talking about is the 2006 disaster movie Poseidon, which is directed by Wolfgang Petersen, who's done movies like The Perfect Storm, Das Boot, Outbreak. There's usually an element of disaster survival in his films, and Poseidon is actually a remake of the 1972 campy disaster classic, The Poseidon Adventure. The plot is very straightforward. A luxury cruise liner called Poseidon, named after the god of the ocean, gets struck by a rogue wave and is then capsized. I guess the god of the ocean didn't take too kindly to his name being used on their fancy boats, so he thought, I'll show him. Rather than wait to be rescued, a small group of survivors try to navigate the upside-down bows of the ship. This might sound confusing, but they have to go down to get up. That sounds like a Jason Derulo lyric. She gotta get down to get up. Anyway, the bottom of the ship is now the top, and there's gaps between the propellers for them to get out. So they're heading up to the bottom. Does that make sense? Well, sweaty from a little dance there. I really love a disaster film. It's a real guilty pleasure genre of mine. I saw this back in the cinema back in 2006. I even have the DVD of it. Rewatched it the other night, and while the script leaves a lot to be desired, I still had a fun time watching Poseidon. To be honest, nobody puts on a Wolfgang Petersen movie for the dialogue. They put it on for the action, and Wolfgang Petersen knows how to tell a good action story. Particularly on a boat, that seems to be his forte. This movie is only like an hour and 40 minutes, but as soon as the wave hits, it's one action set piece after another, each designed to test a different fear or comfort zone. There's a sequence in an elevator shaft, so heights. There's a scene where they crawl through a vent. I mean, is it even an action movie without a vent crawling scene? But yeah, this is all about claustrophobia. There's plenty of occasions where they have to hold their breath underwater, so fear of drowning. It's one inventive and heart-pounding set piece after the next, which is where the fun comes from in a movie like this. You also have to admire the production design. The sets in this film are legit. The lobby and the ballroom are both massive and done for real, you can tell. And bear in mind, they had to build these sets twice. Once normal, and then once upside down. It's awe-inspiring. I bet the actors had a really fun time on these sets. And then there's the crowning achievement of this film, the visual effects. The scene where the wave hits the boat is jaw-dropping. Seriously, parts of the sequence, I was like this. Water and fire are two things that are very hard to simulate in CGI, but the capsizing of the ship is spectacular. It's both thrilling and scary, but the most important thing is that I believed it. Coupled with the bombastic score from Klaus Badlet, it's a really fun and over-the-top sequence. Literally over the top. It even got an Oscar nomination for its visual effects, but lost out to Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest. Alright, now let's talk about the negatives. The main problem that I had with Poseidon is the flim-flam script from Mark Protovich. It's so easy to determine who's gonna live and die in this movie because every character in this is a cliche. There's the hunky hero, the single mom, and the adorable kid. There's the stuffy father, played by Kurt Russell, and his daughter and her fiancé. Then there's the stowaway, the douchebag, the ship worker, and the gay architect, played by Richard Dreyfuss. Oh, and Fergie from the Black Eyed Peas. Can't forget about her. No, you can. She's barely a character in this. But anyone with an ounce of cinematic intuition can tell who is going to live and who's going to die. There's even a line where Kurt Russell says, there's nothing fair about who lives and dies. Might not be fair, mate, but it's sure as hell predictable. And it's not like any of the performances are necessarily bad, it's just the actors don't really get much to work with. The film is plot-driven, not character-driven. It relies heavily on spectacle to get bums in seats, so you don't really feel sad when any of the characters die. Plus, the dialogue they are given is very clunky. It's like it's trying to be camp, like the 1972 Poseidon Adventure, but not quite landing it.
So what do you think? Too big for a piggyback ride?
It's like a discount cheese that's starting to go funky. There were so many times in this where I rolled my eyes, like when Kevin Dillon's Lucky Larry character starts monologuing about how he got the nickname Lucky Larry in the most precarious situation ever, and you just know exactly what's going to happen and when it's going to happen. It's so predictable that a 5-year-old could have wrote it. And then there's stuff which is just legitimately dumb. Like the fiancé's leg that gets crushed just gets immediately forgotten about. Kurt Russell swims 150 feet underwater with his shoes on. The finale has the last remaining survivors in the room where the propellers are, and the ship is like sinking, and the seams of the ship start to like compress, and like water is getting sprayed on them. And I don't know how that's possible because they're in the part of the ship which is above ocean level, so why is there water coming in? In the end, guys, Poseidon is a dumb but fun movie. If you're like me and you can leave your brain at the door, then yes, you can probably appreciate this film for its dazzling visuals, impressive sets, and suspenseful action sequences. But the script really is lousy. The characters are barely two-dimensional, and the dialogue is just wince-inducing. So it's time to ask those 3 questions. Firstly, would I watch this again? As bad as the script is, I really do get a kick out watching the action scenes in this film. I have such a soft spot for disaster movies, and I did have a fun time watching it, so I'm going to say yes, I would rewatch it. Question number 2, do I recommend it for you guys? Ooh. If you like fun but dumb action movies, sure. But if you're looking for a story with a bit more complexity to the characters, then I'd recommend watching the Poseidon Adventure over this. It's a far better film. And third question, what score do I give it out of 10? Ooh, let's see. Top-notch visuals, sets, suspenseful action, and a decent enough score versus bungled script, cheesy dialogue, and poor characterization. So, split the difference. I'm gonna give Poseidon a score of 5 out of 10. But as always, this is just one bloke's opinion. I want to hear from you guys. Have you seen Poseidon? Did you like it? Did you dislike it? Did you prefer it to the Poseidon Adventure? Or is the Poseidon Adventure far superior? Whatever you think, pop your comments, your opinions down in the comment section down below. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, it's also in the video description. And don't forget to hit subscribe and the little like button as well. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. For more things related to movies, TV, and popcorn culture, I'm Luke Heffield, and I'll see you next time.